I will.
How do we all feel about the idea of doing some fun show and tell today? You guys think
I
that'll
like
be
it.
fun?
I know
Are we into
Liz
it?
wants to.
I can tell her face
I
looks
like it.
so damn excited. She's like
You're on the
playing
list,
poker over
Liz.
here. Okay, so you guys probably know that I'm obsessed with Google Search Console data. It's been like the driving thing that I've cared about a lot throughout the years. And one of the things that I got asked to do a webinar with AirOps that's going to be happening later today, and they asked me to build an MCP server. And so I'm building a Google Search Console MCP server in the webinar. Hopefully Claude won't have hiccups. Hopefully everything will go smoothly, yada yada. But there's a GitHub repo, and I'll share it with you guys so you can install it your on your own machines if you want. It's kind of fun. It has some of the functionality of Branch Explorer built into it, so you can look at things like trending pages, trending queries, stuff like that. Um, but as often happens when you start to build something, you build one thing and then your brain starts drifting into another. And for me, the MCP server was kind of cool, but I hated the interface and I hated the UI of looking at data that's coming back to me via terminal. It wasn't super useful at all. So like very quickly it turned into an app, and then very quickly it turned into hey, let's build an app for our SEO community members. And then I've often been like super, super into, oh, you've disabled screen sharing, Adrian. May I please have screen sharing? um, it very quickly turned into like this thing that Nico and also others have, and Robin even have been telling me over the years, which is like Google Search Console is $1 billion product. No one seems to know how to turn it into $1 billion, though. Like there's so much interesting data, but what do you do with it? How do you take Search Console data and take it out of search and turn it into something else? So I started messing around with it. And so I'll show you a couple things that I built just and then you can kind of get a quick glance at this stuff. Uh, so there's like a dashboard that works like Search Console, assuming my computer wants to work. There's a dashboard that works like Search Console. You can add metrics, you can keep them separated. It's got cross filtering that works like Branch Explorer used to work. You can stack filters, so you can say like queries that contain does not contain exact match, regex, or it's in a list like an array of values. You can do the same thing over here where you can say like, hey, show me all the pages that are in my sitemap, pages that have traffic, pages that have no traffic, which is like no impressions, no clicks, and then pages that are not in sitemaps. So there's like some fun conveniences built into it. And then I started to think a lot about the friction of what Branch Explorer was, which is like setting it up was a bear. And doing things like creating your query groups is a bear. And so I built a function that would auto classify all your search query data and build out regex so that you could say like, hey, I want to look at all my comparison queries. And then you can dive into one of them and then you can see the pages that they exist on. And and that function takes about a second to run, which is pretty cool. Same thing on page segments, except this is kind of fun because you can do an auto classification. So it'll do that where it'll look at all the URLs and create like neat stuff. But then you can also import all the sitemaps, which is great for WordPress websites. Not necessarily for everything, but like WordPress is cool because like you'll have structured sitemaps that'll have like posts separated from pages. And if you've ever had to like separate this stuff out, it's super annoying. But if you're importing the sitemaps and it loops through each one and it gets to posts, it knows that all of those belong in one bucket, which is pretty cool. Then I started to think a lot about the limits of Search Console data, right? Like it's kind of cool that you can come up with all of these different search terms, but how do they actually map to desire? How do they actually map to intent? And I started to think about that a lot. And I started to think about it from a couple of perspectives, which is like inside out, i.e., from my website, what intents am I currently covering? And then outside in, which is like, let's say I'm building a website about plumbers. What are all the intents that go along with plumbers? And then compare those with what I currently cover to find gaps. So I built that thing. And each of these different things comes up with different intents. And then I started to think about, okay, so we have these intents, but really we want to know our audience. We want to know who the people are. And so I started to think about, and I use Sterling Sky as our example website, like, who are these people? Who do I want to attract? Who do I really care about? And so we can take all that other information that I've already shown you, and I can have it generate something on the fly. But I can also use AI and get into a conversation with it, and it'll rebuild all of these as it goes, and based on the conversation that's happening on the right, where it asks me lots of questions. It has access to the full context of the website that it's already scraped. Um, and then it'll come up with like what their journey looks like, comes up with different content opportunities, and then it'll even come up with content ideas, which are like drafts or content briefs. And then you can get it to write an article, which is at this point is fairly sloppy in terms of like content sloppy. And I think that's always going to be I can't, that thing that Robin said to us that sort of relates uh producing content to that of like taking a JPEG and trying to scale it up on a banner. It just looks shitty and pixelated. I can't get that out of my head. Like I don't think we can prompt our way out of that. But having said all of those things, I still thought that this whole process that I went through was pretty interesting to me. And for clarity, I built this all last night. So like this is what's possible with Claude. This is why we're doing all this stuff. It's trying to get familiar with a problem domain and then getting better and better at understanding how the tooling behind the scenes works. And I built a lot of this. Oh, and I didn't show you guys this too. Uh, this is kind of fun. It shows like, hey, are we getting traction? Are we seeing queries grow or shrink across the site? And then what position are they in over time? And also this thing has like a data pipeline component to it as well. So like uh the data would live in the user's cloud project, and then this tool will just basically provide the analysis for it. So the user pays for storage, the user pays for querying, they get access to using this thing. And basically, what I had thought was I'd give members of the community one website for free. People are paying for Campfire, three websites for free. And then, like some of the AI stuff, like you have to pay for. Um, you have to pay for it. But that's what I built. And I just thought you guys would get a kick out of it. And I wanted to kick it off that way.
And this took you since the weekend, essentially.
What is today? Friday. Well, I built the MCP server piece of it on Monday night into Tuesday. And then inside the same repo, I said, hey, this is cool. It works locally, but what if I wanted it to be hosted on a server? And oh, by the way, what if I wanted it to power an application? And that's where shit got real, or messy. Pick a descriptor, because I had to then separate the two code bases apart because it didn't make sense. Um, so anyway,
I'm super curious about the alerts because you know how much I love alerts.
oh, I haven't built that yet.
Oh,
Oh, there are reports though.
I'll ask about the one thing that's not ready.
Oh
The
yeah, no, no,
class.
no. I don't think it's ready. It might be. This
It's
is
sweet.
Yeah, this is what I'd envisioned. like you pick a metric and when it changes by whatever, you get notified. And you can have different windows and you can get different notifications, whether it's email, Slack, or webhook. That's the vision anyway. Alerting matters, but like noise is pretty sucky too. And then the pipeline thing is just basically it allows you to connect to all your Search Console properties that you OAuth, and then you can do an initial backfill, and you can have it run every day to go get more data. And what's neat about this infrastructure actually is that I built it on Cloudflare. And what's neat about that is it's really, 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 really cheap. Like really, really cheap, like $5 a month cheap or $10 a month cheap to host the front end application. And then like the API endpoints, I think live in Cloud Run. I think I built them all out so that a lot of the API stuff is running in Cloud Run, but the front end application is hosted in Cloudflare. So the deployment is kind of a pain in the ass because you have to deploy them. It's like a staged, actually, no, I think it's all in Cloudflare. Let me think about this. Um, the deployment's different, and I've never built on Cloudflare before, so I had to learn a bunch of different things, and my knowledge of it is relatively shallow. I don't think I can like make you super smart about this stuff, but um, I just thought you guys would get a kick out of this. And um, the goal is to have something, hey, I can pipeline all my agency properties. I can pipeline all the stuff, and you would give the tool access. You'd basically give one service. I think it's going to work so that it's one service account gets access to one project, and you isolate that project from, all your other stuff inside of GCP. And the tool, all it does is write data to a couple different tables inside BigQuery. And that's that.
Good question,
Yeah,
if I can.
please.
I love the idea um, of doing this as an MCP server.
Yeah.
But then after that, I feel like you ditched the whole MCP server idea and built an app. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering why do it as an app rather than an MCP server, and then maybe wrapping that in a skill, as an example. So a user could say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I want to do a misclick report.
Yeah.
Can you get the data and visualize it?" And the skill would kind of have an idea about what things to combine and what calls
Yeah.
to make, and then it could just do that, if it
Yeah. So this is the functionality that the MCP server that I'm going to share has, assuming clicking works in GitHub. It can list, so there's like a bunch of different standard Search Console stuff that it can do. And then it can do these different things. It can find low-hanging fruit, detect cannibalization, find trending queries, trending pages, analyze a traffic drop. I don't know how useful that is. I'm going to add that to the app. It helped me do an analysis of a specific client that we had challenges with. I don't know. I haven't played with it enough to know if everybody else will get the same kind of value that I did out of it.
but
And
but Noah,
yeah,
sorry. So my question was less about the MCP server looks great, and I've been obsessing about MCP servers for a bit. Um, but I guess what I mean is you've spent some time building the app.
yeah,
The app is kind of like so the way that I'm thinking about it is MCP servers are super cool because everybody could use Claude Code or some other agent or some other AI assistant, connect to the MCP server and then just go, I don't know, I need these things. Claude could talk to the MCP server and work everything out, and then write some code and throw up a way of visualizing that and all the answer the user's questions. And if you just took a few of those possible conversations and made a snapshot of them, or kind of stuck a pin in the butterfly, then you'd have, and you did that 20 times, you'd have the app. But isn't it like the power of the MCP server is that actually users can be dynamically kind of I don't know, making up super weird queries and doing all kinds of strange things, and under the hood, Claude can go, oh, let me go draw some data and munge it together on the fly, and I don't know, make a DuckDB server or whatever,
Yeah.
and visualize it. Like why I feel like the app is, uh, I I feel like the app could be super powerful and useful, but do we need apps anymore? Or like,
Well, think about our population and our community. I mean, we've got on any given month, 1,000 to 1,200, 1,400 people are logging in, right?
yeah,
We get 6 to 12 people to show up to learn how to build Claude Code. Like the percentage
yeah,
of
but
us,
we're the creme de la creme, right? I mean,
well, you are as
no,
you're eating your creme de la creme de la creme there. But my
low
point,
fat
Robin,
yogurt too.
is like we are definitely on the cutting edge, and everybody else is whatever period behind us, whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Like I built this because I felt like A, I wanted to.
Yeah, it's fair though. Yeah.
B, I
No, no,
feel like
I didn't.
there's
I didn't want to denigrate you for building it. I think
oh
it's
yeah, no,
great,
there's
and
just
it's
so many
exactly the kind of
Luddites.
thing I would build.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, right. That could entirely be true. But like in the next 6 months from now, or 4 months from now, or 3.5 hours from now, when Claude Code launches the next update,
Yeah.
um, will it? Because it's definitely something I notice is that all of my engineer friends uses Claude Code or some other agent to write code now, and it's just gone through all the engineers like wildfire. And when I have a conversation with my non-engineering friends saying, dude, you have to download Claude Code and you can ask me to do things under the hood, it will write a program, but you don't need to know about that. You can just watch the results and it can be super, and it's going to be amazing. And most of them are like, yeah, I kind of don't see the point of having a coding assistant. Like, and I'm like, forget that it's a coding assistant. It's an everything assistant that happens to
Yeah.
do code under the hood, but you can ignore that. And they're like,
Yeah.
I kind of can't. And they
Yeah.
don't, very
That's
hard to get your
me.
head around it.
That's me.
Right.
I'm the second
Yeah.
person. Like he's building a
Yeah.
UI for for me. That's what it
But
feels like.
Robin,
I'm like,
also there's
hi. Like I feel like I'm behind. There's a whole faction of us that are dragging our feet because we don't feel technical.
I
And
mean,
it all
me too,
feels
but
like
like in a
totally,
different way.
but
totally.
Yeah.
also Robin, think about how you think when you process information. There's a subset of people that think like you. And then there's
Yeah.
another subset of
The
people
weirdos.
that think the opposite way. You know, like when I was shopping Branch Explorer around a couple years ago, it became clear to me that there was basically a 50-50 divide between people who like pretty graphical things and the other people who just wanted to see shit in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And both people cannot, they have a really difficult time bridging across to the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the app thing, I love apps and I think people enjoy using them. And the MCP thing, when I use MCPs that are wrapped inside of a Claude Code thing, it feels like the experience of it is not great for how I like to think. And what I mean by that
Like
is it takes
a
a
crappy
minute
app.
to get results.
Yeah.
And when you're in an app, it's like you guys saw, I think, what the results were like. When I was cross filtering, it was instant. When I changed like it allowed me to explore information in ways that I just couldn't. Having said that, though, like powering through the process of building, you know, at one point I said, "Hey, I need you to find a. I want to be able to rip through sitemaps in order to get all the URLs. Look in NPM and GitHub and find stuff that works on Cloudflare's infrastructure. And oh, by the way, go in John Murch's repos because he's a
Yeah.
Cloudflare fanatic, right?
Yeah.
And it ripped through 35 repos in 2 minutes, and it came back with like really great advice and got me like dialed in and ready to build right away. So um there are times when that analysis is like super powered, And then there are other times, like through the Claude interface, it just feels really slow. Like, and I don't like it. I don't like waiting.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Okay. You could convince me. I've just got to call the team and tell them not to kill the whole app that we built, spent the last 10 years building. But
this fucking guy, Noah. Yeah, great.
yeah,
Thanks.
no, but like, so I would be super happy if that's true, because it means we still have like a few years to make hay,
Yeah,
or months, or weeks, or minutes.
yeah.
But yeah, I've been all of a fluster the last week because I've been really like, oh my god, is this going to change absolutely everything yesterday? But maybe yeah, maybe we still have
And people have a hard time wrapping their minds around, like, I, for the first X period, I mean, you and I talked about this a lot. It was like, I didn't understand the value of an MCP. Like, I saw it as, hey, build a thing that allows me to use something else's APIs without having to build out any of the methods. And
agreed.
that's like not what it is. It's basically just a USB-C connector so that your AI can use all the methods to do stuff.
Although, have you like slight tangent?
Yeah.
Because I never do that. But have you seen like recursive language models and Agentica and those kind of things?
No, sounds cool.
So rather than having an MCP server, which is basically like communicating by API, but instead of communicating by API, you're communicating by text. Like,
Yeah.
and everything is just mapped as strings. Agentica basically allows you to put a Python object into your context. And then you can update that or play around with it or do various operations on the Python object. And you have all the things like you can discover new methods because it's object oriented. You can create a new object and suddenly it has a bunch of methods and you can use them in the context. Whilst normally you just have to put all of your text that your call makes, it goes into the context. And at some point your context just fills up. But here you don't have to do that. You can just put each of these objects into context. And it just feels like a smoother way of not getting context rot, but also just using it in a much more Python-y kind of way. Anyway, I digress.
Okay, hold on a second.
We have a question from Jonathan whenever.
I know I'm scrolling through this.
Yeah.
Jonathan, do you want to just vocalize it? Because we've been running the mouth on, or I've been
Here-
running the mouth.
Well, here's the thing
I've
that
been running the mouth.
I think that is helpful to think about, especially as we're all like on the bleeding edge and thinking like this is going to take our jobs or whatever. Like I was looking at my Facebook this week, a political guy who's running for office. He posts, "Hey, this is how Kalshi is showing that we're going to win the election," which like blew a bunch of people's minds because they had never heard that you could bet on political campaigns. And that made me step back and think, what Noah's saying is totally true. Like for some of us, we're on the bleeding edge, and you're right. We could just chat with Claude all day. And like my week this week was all Claude because this whole exploration we're doing sent me off building a ton of stuff this week. So I think what I want to say is like there's levels that we got to think about, right? Like there's us, then there's automations that really could handle a lot of our questions that just should be happening. That's a whole layer I think people are just forgetting right now is that there's like computers can just do something over and over again and it's really lightweight, doesn't cost a lot, and it gets us exactly what we need. And we can't forget that right now. And then there's the people that we're shipping for that pay us who are like, I'm never going to do this. That's why I pay you, and that's why we will always have a job because there are always going to be people who are like, I never heard of Kalshi. I've never thought of this. And that's why we have job security. So that's all I wanted to add there.
Cool.
I love that. That's
Who
me.
else?
I just want someone to do it.
Who else wants to jump in and show something, hopefully?
I have a unrelated thing. So we spent Similar AI spent 3 years building out a no-code interface so that our users pre-LLM, so that our users could actually do all the kind of things that we do. and specify it and have all this logic in it. It was amazing, and I was super proud of the project. There was only one small problem, which is that absolutely no one used it. And so, and basically what happened is they said, we've seen it, we love it. It's what convinced us to buy the product in the first place. But what we'd really like to do is just have a half an hour call with you guys every week, and then you put that in the no-code interface and make it do everything. And so, that feels very similar to what Jonathan was just saying. Even though they have a super easy to use interface that allows them to do all the things they want to do and get stuff live, they don't actually use it in practice. Sorry, everybody is on this other screen. I'm sharing in the wrong direction. They don't actually use it in practice. But it's what convinced them to buy the product. But in practice, they just like talking to a human, and then the human making it so, and then the human coming back on the call and saying, "I made it so, and this is here's the results." And I was like, but this seems super dumb to me. Like, why am I doing all these things in this interface all the time? The answer that I got to roughly is it because it makes all my customers happy. But yeah, so maybe this is more of a Robin blind spot. That there are other people who don't think like me. They're called neurotypicals.
This is a super, super important non sequitur. Because I love celebrating all y'all, especially when someone goes from unemployed to employed, or when they make a move and they got some good news. I just think we should do a round of applause for Brian. He just got a new job with iPullRank. Woohoo!
Great place to work.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
No pressure.
Yeah, right.
Congratulations.
I think I'll be seeing you in New York in a couple months. Sounds like.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there, and hopefully I'll see, get to meet you, Noah, in person, and then see some other people. Should be cool.
Yeah. Anybody else have something they want to share with the group? Do you like the structure? Do you like the idea for the format? And we need to like bookend at the end a couple minutes to plan for next week. And I apologize, I was on vacation, so I didn't really put a lot into this week, but I thought a month in it would be a good place to see what we're all doing. Who's up? Come on. I know somebody's building something.
I would love for Liz. I got to throw you out there, Liz. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
Okay.
So I can
Thank
show
you.
you some of the things that I have been doing. I am more along the lines of, I think, what Robin is talking about. I have never taken I like that he called them skills in Claude. I've never taken my skills and put a fancy UI on them. I have always just interfaced with terminal in Mac. So what I typically do is, I can share my screen. Oh, there's a lot of options. Hold on.
Do the whole desktop, Liz. No, I'm kidding.
Honestly, it might be easier if I do it that way.
I always do the entire screen because the rest is just a show.
Right. All right. So let's do it this way. So you guys see terminal. So I went through and I have it connected where I prompted to pull the branch. I run everything locally, but I have it backed up to GitHub. So I pull the most recent version of the branch. I'll prompt it with what I want to do. And then for this one, this is for like a content optimization audit. So let's say I wanted to do it for my agency site. I'm going to do the home page just to keep it simple. And terminal is hiding. Let's make that bigger so I don't have to try to find it again. I don't want to do any more URLs. I pull page title. And tell it what type of page it is, because there's different strategies that I've put in for it. And then I copy. I downloaded a Chrome plugin or extension that allows me to copy it via plain text, because if you don't, it gets really angry. And then I'll put that in here and it'll run it. And then what it does is I actually have it right to Google Sheets, and it'll give me all of the results. So I can view the results here. and it'll open specific to the tab, and it'll show you everything that I've taken a look at. So I've got like logic in there for AI risk based on certain things, for just looking at connections to Google Analytics, Google Search Console, some like readability scores. And then what I do is I then take this analysis and I will optimize the content from this. And actually, I use AI. I actually put this in a Gemini gem based on the personas and kind of skills that I've built over there to take this to the next level.
Thanks to these meetings, I've got a Claude Max and just went crazy this week. And it's probably been the most productive week of my entire time being out on my own, which is great. So I went ahead and I was like, well, I'm going to build my own website finally after, 5 years of doing this stuff. And I decided I'd be, old school. So I built it on WordPress. And because most of my clients are going to be WordPress clients because they're all small to medium-sized businesses. So, and yeah, I just have a thing for it. So I'll just, yeah, why don't I just start with the front end? This is kind of cheapish for me because like I this is the first time I'm showing anybody this stuff, so bear with me. This is my website front end. I put in some fun little things. I built it so that it, shows the text first. And the whole idea is that, it gets right to the pain points. So I had some fun with it. I told it to make it look pretty. I haven't actually worked on my copy yet. That's why I'm going to give my wife lots of presents later because she'll help me with the copy. But yeah, I built some cool stuff like giving it, alternate versions of the theme. I actually am going to put an Easter egg in here that I'll tell you guys about later if I get a chance because it's going to be super cool. So going back to the dashboard, I built this thing that I'm starting to call DefCon SEO. I was like, there's a bunch of stuff I always do for clients that I just want to deal with and have it happen. So I just told it to start taking care of things that should always be there. I get clients that don't even have any tagging, so I'm gonna start just building that kind of stuff for them quickly, all that kind of stuff. Build out basic schema stuff for them, local business, and then tools like, just no index, the stuff that should be no indexed. And I'm gonna build a startup thing for this so that with every new client, it just runs it through and sets the options that I think should be done from the gate so that it's all cleaned up. Head cleanup removal, remove all the crap that just shouldn't be there. That kind of stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's always code that WordPress puts out there that shouldn't be there. So just get rid of it and then reorder the stuff that should be there so it's accurate, right? Because like there is a logical flow to the head that you should follow every time. So this reorders it so that everything is flowing logically the way that Google likes it, all that kind of stuff. Just basic stuff. Add breadcrumbs because lots of sites that I work with don't have those. Simple redirect management here. This will also audit redirects and look for redirect chains and loops so that I can find that stuff really quickly on site. And then full schema audit, per page schema, and it's got like boxes that show up on individual pages to be able to do stuff. Core Vitals check. I show you this. This is kind of fun. I'll open it in a new tab. I built my own website and I am failing my own Core Web Vitals. So I've got work to do there. So that'll be easy. Claude will take care of that in like 15 minutes, but that's great. So yeah, lots of little things. Accessibility check. Does the same thing. I'm failing some of my own tests there. API security, make sure everything's doing the right stuff with APIs. And then this is my fun little, make sure that all the endpoints are secure, all that kind of stuff. And as you arm stuff, you get more and more secure across the board. And it just has a fun little graphic for that. But the whole point is just like Yoast does a lot of stuff and bugs the hell out of people with all of its stuff. I just want to be able to do all of this, get it done, and have my clients, if they log into their own website, look at this and be like, oh, hey, this is good. So the other cool thing that I did with this is I am starting to build my own intelligence platform. So I've integrated this with data for SEO, done a bunch of little things so that I can, make this more cost effective and just have it running all the audits. In between the two of them, I'm building the Claude layer is what I'm calling it, where Claude can speak to both sides of the fence and stuff I find here, I can just inject into the site through my um, plugin so that like if I need to update meta titles across the board, Claude will be able to eventually just do that by connecting to my plugin and pushing all of it. So the whole idea is that I'm building my own tool set for my small agency, for my clients, so that all of this stuff just starts to happen really easily. I will make it auditable so that like as I'm creating content, it's not just AI slop, it's reviewable. It's let's make it professional grade and make it worthwhile. So that's the goal here. And then the thing that I just started planning out this morning is a Mac desktop widget app that connects to all of this stuff, gives me my plan for the day for all of my clients, and helps me to know what my tasks will be that need to get done, where things are at, run project reports, all that kind of stuff. So that's my ambitious goal.
Amazing. Jonathan, what are you using like in building your own site to connect Claude to WordPress?
Right now I'm doing everything through CLI, with Claude Code. So I haven't actually built that piece out just yet. That's the next project that I'm going to be working on is building the agent layer or AI layer for all of this. So if you have ideas, I'll
And
take
do
them.
you have it visually monitoring what it's producing to kind of
You
loop
mean
back and edit and such?
for content, you mean?
Yeah, or just like these interfaces, etc.
Yeah, so the idea would be that everything produces documentation every step of the way so that um, one, I need to know how everything works. So every time I build something, I tell it, provide full documentation for me. Number two, the goal will be like we're going to produce client deliverable, like Google Docs basically for all of this stuff so that when changes get made, we can, push it to the client, have them review and approve, that kind of stuff. But then this makes it super quick for me to be able to say, okay, like if I don't need to go through that layer, I can just push it directly once I've read it through, got my understanding, and we're on our way, that kind of stuff. So how that interface looks for like how I'll be working with Claude on this, I haven't really thought through. I'm just kind of saying, okay, like at the basic layer, what's the quickest, most efficient, but smartest way I can think of to do this? And then go build it, break it, come back and fix it again.
Cool. Thank
Yeah.
So cool. Guys, this is making me really stoked that we decided to do this. It seems like you're all getting something out of it. That's so cool. Who else wants to share something?
Go for it, Garrett. Thank you.
So let me just share. For this, I'm using Astro, but I'm pulling for like the work pages and the about and the blog. I'm actually pulling from headless WordPress. So like I've got posts, and this WordPress site is just like it. The only purpose of it, it's CMS. It's a CMS subdomain. The only purpose of it is to feed this content, so I can update that content easily. But with Claude, I was able to create this site health dashboard that kind of tells this is whenever I publish something on WordPress and it pushes out a deploy. And then down here is whenever a build is triggered on Astro, and then the number of pages, the duration of the build. Some of this other stuff is like we don't want to index the headless WordPress stuff because it's duplicated content. So that's kind of what some of this stuff is. There's some hardening stuff in here, like Jonathan was showing related to, and there's some redirect stuff in here, locking down some of the stuff in WordPress that's commonly exploitable. But yeah, that's kind of what a couple things I've built with Astro. I'm really kind of loving Astro just because it's so easy to. I'd like to get to this point with WordPress. I just think that WordPress is so complex that Claude doesn't. I don't know if Claude doesn't know what to do with it, or there's not an MCP. I'm not exactly 100% sure I understand why that's challenging. But I definitely am leaning towards simplicity for a lot of clients and figuring out a way to maybe use something other than WordPress for clients that have a brochure website that's not going to get updated only like once a year. So yeah, that's what I got.
So quick recommendation, grab all the WordPress skills from WordPress for Claude. They're super helpful.
Good to know.
And they just launched like in the last 2 weeks, right? Or they just updated to make them super useful in the last 2 weeks.
Liz?
Yeah. Make me smarter is the best way to say this. We had a developer come in and redid our agency website through Astro as an SEO. I hate it. Give me the benefits. What am I missing?
It's yeah, it's
because he can use it.
Okay, so it works really well with Claude.
It could be the way it was built, because like it looks like you're using Astro into WordPress, right? Or did I
WordPress
misunderstand?
is kind of getting sucked into Astro. There's certainly a lot of caveats like that I run across when I launched this. Like for instance, Google Analytics wasn't working.
Yes.
I had that. I was gonna create a blog post about that because I walked through Claude getting Google Analytics working. I had to end up building a lot of custom events just because of the way it loads and the way it fires pages. Yeah, so it's super fast since it's flat HTML. But yeah, I can understand as a stakeholder how you wouldn't love it. And the benefits for me is Claude works with it easily and Claude can do things, and it's got like SEO. There's an SEO plugin or add-on. But if I want to tell it to use, like I've got it kind of trying to integrate it with rank math. But it kind of has to do all those integrations kind of separately. Yeah, so I'm probably not the best person to speak about the benefits of it because I'm still kind of I just like it because it works well with Claude and it does things. It's able to suck in content. Like I had a client that migrated from Weebly to WordPress and it was able to. Actually, I didn't use Astro for that. I just used Claude, like crawling their pages and pulling in the stuff. It used a ton of credits to do that migration, but yeah.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.